I don't know what I would have done had I been here and he called me a lunatic, because I never insulted him by saying something negative about his personhood. I didn't do that. But I was censured. The president was not censured for calling members lunatics at a joint session of Congress. He's not been reprimanded in any way. We have allowed him to normalize his behavior. I was censured. I had to stand in the well. I accepted my punishment. I accepted it. I never criticized the notion that it was improper for me to be removed. I did say that I didn't think that the punishment was appropriate in terms of being censured, but I never said anything that would cause the president to believe that I was disrespecting him as a human being. But he called Democrats lunatics. No penalties, nothing done. We cannot allow the president to normalize demeaning people, calling them names, low IQ. We can't allow him to do this. If we do, at some point, what I have in my hand now will occur. I have in my hand an article from Politico dated 11/20/2025. When we allow the president to say these things with impunity, this is what we face. 2025, 10:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is styled, Trump calls for Democratic lawmakers to face trial for seditious behavior. Well, I don't agree with that, but that's not the point. There's more to be said. It goes on to say, seditious behavior in bold print. This is in quotations. Seditious behavior, punishable by death, he wrote on Truth Social. The president is saying now that someone, Democrats, have engaged in seditious behavior punishable by death. Then he goes on, and the article reads, Donald Trump on Thursday called for 6 Democratic lawmakers to face arrest and trial after they made a video encouraging U.S. service members and members of the intelligence community to refrain from following orders if they broke the law. Well, what does that mean, if they broke the law? Well, it means this. If the president gives you an unlawful order, you are not to follow that order. That's what it means. And by the way, that's what the law says. You don't follow unlawful orders. We don't want people following unlawful orders. I'm not going to name the people. But then it goes on to say, it's called seditious, this is the president now, it's called seditious behavior at the highest level, Trump charged in a post on Truth Social. Each of these traitors, now they have become traitors. Each of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. I don't agree with that, but that's not the most egregious thing in this document that I hold in my hand. I'll get to that as I read on. Their words cannot be allowed to stand, he says. And then he goes on to say, we won't have a country anymore. 3 exclamation points. An example must be set, he says. Now we're getting close to the reason I'm standing here tonight. If he had only said the other things, I probably would have done as many others are doing and just let it go. But sometimes you can cross a line of no return. The president crossed that line with these words. The president then posted 16 Truth Social posts, including one that advocated for hanging Democrats. Now that's the line. Mr. President, what is wrong with you? Don't you know that there are people who will read this and consider doing something dastardly? Don't you know that you are putting people in harm's way? And by the way, I don't think it just includes the 8 people that are named here. I don't think it just includes them. I think if you're a Democrat, any Democrat should be concerned about what this president has done. I just don't think that this applies to the 6 Democratic lawmakers that's mentioned here, 6, not 8. I think it applies to all of us. Just so that you will know, my friends, when you walk into my office now, the first thing you see is a person with a gun. When I first got elected to Congress, we didn't have police officers sitting out in the lobby. You walk in now, the first thing you see is a person with a gun. Why? Because of this kind of ignorant behavior on behalf of the president. And by the way, I'm being kind by saying ignorant. There are many other ways, many other adjectives. There's something wrong with the president. There's something wrong with the President of the United States of America. For the President of the United States of America to say that people should be, let me read it to you one more time. The president then responded, 16 Truth Social posts, including one that advocated for hanging Democrats. There's something wrong with the president. There's something wrong. We can't ignore this. We cannot allow him to say this with impunity. We can't. Now, I don't speak for anybody other than myself and everybody who agrees with me. And a lot of people agree with me that the president can't be allowed to do this. That's why I say censured but not silenced. I have not been silenced. I will not be silenced. I am not going to be one that is going to allow this to take place and not speak up and speak out and say to the world that this has to change. We are normalizing not just hate, but we are normalizing these signals to persons who may not be as stable as I would like for them to be, who will then proceed to do something to harm someone. Yes, when you come to my office, the first thing you see is a person with a gun. When I go out to events now, I have to have someone to escort me out to events. When I'm in the airport, we have to be escorted through the airports. Do you think this improves the situation? This does not. This only exacerbates a situation that we already are having to deal with. We've had to allocate more funds so that members can have armed protection. For me, it's armed. Maybe for some others, it's not. But protection. This is not normal. And if we just allow it to continue, we may find ourselves at a point where we can't stand here in the well and say what I'm saying. We may find ourselves at a point in our history of the United States of America, a functioning democracy, when the president took office for this term, a functioning democracy, we may find ourselves with an inability to exercise the constitutional right of free speech. You